Hello, I'm Troy Parker, President of Innovative Labor and Cleaning. This is another Mental Health Monday. Where are you investing your energy at? If we look at energy like water, if we were to water a flower, it would grow. If we were to water a weed, it too would grow. Energy is much like this. Whether it's positive or negative, what we put our energy into comes back to us. In my last video, I talked about how to use affirmations, visualization, and feeling to create the things in your life that you want in your life. But first, we have to have the energy to do that. So, how are you managing your energy? Are you hemorrhaging energy, wasting it on maybe needless arguments, worry, things of that nature? One thing we need to do is conserve our energy. So one, we have to stop wasting it. Two, we have to conserve it. And then three, build it up and then invest it in what we want. Now, how do you do that? One, we have to be aware of where our energy is going now. Much like a bank account. You know, if you've ever had problems maybe keeping a budget or whatnot, what do they tell you to do? Okay, write down everything that you spend money on. So it might be $2 for coffee here, and then okay, you got lunch here, and then you get you can kind of look back and say, okay, well, this is where my money went. Energy is no different, and it's much more important. If you track or pay attention to where your energy is going or being wasted at, then you're able to, okay, cut off the waste, conserve it, and then invest it after you've built it up into the things you really want. Now, doing this is going to take some awareness because most people don't sit down and write out what they're wasting energy in. A few tips that I've learned being in business and through the course of life or areas to look at are things like in business meetings. Many times, especially with Zoom, people will stay on a Zoom meeting talking when really the business at hand could be handled in a lot less time. You get on the Zoom, you say hi to everybody, you might, do a few pleasantries. That might take 10, 15 minutes, depending on how many people. But then actually talking about the actual issue or whatever you're meeting about, many times can be done in 30 minutes. So I suggest maybe making your meetings or conversations, whether it be on phone, on Zoom or whatever, in person, more concise. Now, of course, if you're out and you're, trying to get to know somebody and just stopping for a coffee, in that situation, you would want to take the time, relax, and actually be present in the moment. But on areas of your life, such as business meetings or conference calls or, meeting with staff, that's one area you might be able to save some time. Also, plan your day out. I took a look at my whole day to see where I was hemorrhaging energy at. Basically, wasting time. I wanted to look at my whole life and see where I was basically wasting energy at. So I sat down with Dr. J.C. Baker of Baker and Associates, and he showed me a method of basically blocking my time based on activities. So say for instance in the morning, I might have an hour between maybe 6 and 7 where I do invoices. I don't answer emails, don't answer phone calls. I just work on invoicing and accounting issues. Then after that, I might from 7 to 8 work on emails, answering any emails from the day before. Don't answer phone calls, just focus on emails. Then from 8 to 9 might be a staff meeting. Now, back to what I said about meeting. Most of the time in our organization, you can pretty much cover everything in 15, 20 minutes because we meet on a regular basis, like at least every other day. Then from 8 to 8:30, we would have a short company meeting because we found that we didn't need from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock an hour because we meet on such a regular basis. Most things could be handled in a half an hour. From there, you go from 9 to 10 o'clock. Maybe you have a blocked out hour to handle any business issues that maybe had occurred from the day before. Deal with those. By breaking my day out like this, I found that concentrating on one task instead of trying to deal with business problem and then, the phone rings, I got to answer that. Let me answer that email. And jumping from task to task and doing none of them really efficiently by focusing on one thing, emails or invoicing for that block of time, helped my day one to be more productive. And I found that my day was getting shorter and shorter because I was getting done with everything quicker And I was able to then move on to other things where I would have a few hours at the end of the day where I was free to do maybe business development or something else because I had efficiently used my time. So these are just a few tips to help you to look at what you're spending your time on. Now also I talked about sometimes wasting your energy is not just on the physical things you do, but sometimes we waste our energy on mental things. A lot of us worry, especially with the COVID situation, the economic situation, we spend our time worrying. And many times we'll be doing this worrying maybe while we're on the Zoom meeting, so we're half paying attention. Because you know when you're in a meeting, whether you're physically there on a Zoom meeting, you're in the meeting and then someone starts talking and then your mind kind of drifts off and you start thinking, hey, I wonder if I should go in the kitchen after this and make a sandwich. Or I wonder what my cat's doing. And so then your attention is constantly leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back. This is another way where your energy is being depleted because you're constantly moving away from something, then you don't pay attention, then you have to come back and then you're lost because you don't know what they said or you know part of what they said, and then that sometimes can make the meeting last longer, which means you're putting more energy into something that could have been done in a lot shorter period of time, but because everyone's doing the same thing, because you're not the only one doing it, because this is just how people's mind have been conditioned to act. They kind of go and come back, go and come back. That's why a lot of people will say, if you hear this video or read this book or watch this movie, if you watch it many times, you'll catch all of it. You know, you've had a situation where you go back and see a movie and then you say, well, I didn't notice that the first time. Well, it was there, but you didn't see it because your mind had left for a moment and then came back and then you missed that scene. But when you see it the second time, you'll see that scene, but then you'll miss another scene. One thing is to look at is what you're doing with your mind, as far as, are you worrying? Are you constantly drifting off into, little side meetings with yourself? Being focused on what you're doing can help you save energy, because when you go and come, it does take more energy. That's why at the end of some days we feel like, oh my gosh, I just sat here on these various Zoom calls all day, but I'm just exhausted. So watch not only your physical activity and energy, but also your mental energy. I hope this video helped. Please share and please put your comments down below. And as always, remember, it's up to you to make your life matter.